One. Yes, hello everyone. This is Mike Laws from the statewide Democratic Black Caucus. We'd like to thank everybody for taking their time out, especially on a busy Friday. We understand that that is relaxed or party time, but believe it or not, since it is the last Friday before get out and vote, I know everybody's anxious and doing a variety of different things. So I really like to thank you guys for showing up. I'd like to actually turn it over to our hosts for this evening, our MCs doing double duty. We have the chair of the statewide Democratic Black Caucus, Ms. Karine Landauer, uh, who's going to do an excellent job, typically as our stream team, and our special guest. We have Maine Wayne Condor, who are actually functioning and helping out in the hosting duties today. So without that, let me hand it over to Corinne. Corinne, can you turn on your mic?
Thank you so much, Chairman Laws. And good evening, Pennsylvania Democrats. This is going to be a webinar, so a few housekeeping items before we begin. Please note that this session will be recorded. Please remain muted unless you are called on. And in the interest of time, and with the focus on moving through all of the pertinent information that we have for you this Friday evening, if you do have a question, please put it in the chat. We will try to get to the questions that are put in the chat, but in the event that we are not able to answer your question on this call this evening, we will respond to your questions via email. And with that, I will introduce to you the only Black mayor in Bucks County, Mayor Wayne Codner, my stream team associate for the evening. Mayor Wayne.
Hello, Corinne, and hello, everybody. Hello, Democrats. Hello, Pennsylvania. Thank you for having me. I feel this is an honor, and especially when it comes to working with somebody like Corinne, I'm more than happy to be the a la carte side to her main course.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor Wayne. We are going to have a brief recap from members of our Progressive Caucus. So thank you so much for being here this evening. We're going to turn the floor over to April Niver and Sheri Morgan of the Progressive Caucus. So thank you for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you, Corinne. Hello, everybody. Thanks for showing up this evening. I'm Sheri Morgan, and I am the chair of the Progressive Caucus, the PA Dems Progressive Caucus, and I'm having allergies. So hopefully we'll get through this without me sneezing all over the place, right? All right. So I just want to thank you for coming. We also want to thank the Black Caucus for having this event this evening. And I want to send out a super big thanks to April Niver, who's put this presentation together. So we want to be kind. We want to be passionate and respectful of everyone. And we want to make sure that we're going to go over our organizational structure, how a caucus forms and grows. And we're going to be moving forward together. So we want to talk about that. Okie dokie, that's me. Organizational structure for the Democratic Party. You're like, most of you may know this already, but maybe some don't. So our party is made up of people, right? And people are living in their voting precincts. So these are voters. And out of some of these voters decide that they really want to work harder on party issues, and they become committee members, either area committee members, precinct members, and then they join their county committee. So I, for example, live in Franklin County, and I'm in Greencastle, and my precinct is Greencastle 2. I'm in a small rural county, so we don't have area committees. So I'm a precinct woman. I go directly to my county committee. I'm a county committee person, and then that's the only, I don't have an area committee, but other larger areas certainly do. From our county committee, we meet monthly, some meet more frequently. We have different standing committees, just like the state party. We'll get to that. And then people from our county committee, usually a couple of people in our county decide to run for state committee, and we want to represent our county and our voters at the state committee level. And at our state committee, we have people that are elected officials, our executive team, our chair, vice chair, and some of our other DNC elected DNC members, they all go to the the Democratic National Committee, the DNC. And that's how it works up. So each one of these committees kind of reports or sends representatives to the next committee. So you work your way up. Now, the National Committee is interesting. We all have to follow the National Committee's bylaws. They set the policy for the entire group. The DNC was established in 1848, and you'll find out on the next slide that that is after state parties have been. Who's pushing the next slide?
Me.
Okay,
Sorry.
next slide. No problem.
Yeah, there we go. Now
there
it's
it
going to go far.
Okay. Anyway, so I missed that one. Go back. Anyway, so our DNC was established in 1848, and it's made up of all of the other state and territory state committees, and that's who shows up there. One of the things I want to let you know about the DNC, it has its own YouTube channel. So if you would, you have free time or whatever, you can go to the DNC, Democratic National Committee YouTube channel, and you can watch their meetings. Some of them are archived. Some of them you can watch in real time. And I think they meet 3 times a year. Of course, they have subcommittees and standing committees that meet, throughout the year at whatever scheduled times they have. And sometimes those are also on the YouTube channel. So if you'd like to learn more about them and how they function and who the players are, you can watch them on TV or on YouTube. Our leadership at the DNC right now is, our chair is Ken Martin. He was elected last February, or February 2025. Now this happens like every 4 years with right after the presidential election, we have a reorganization at the DNC and we get a new chair. Usually what happens is like the chair resigns, the old chair resigns, and then we get a new chair. So the membership of the DNC, like I said, it includes the chair and vice chair of every state Democratic Party, plus there are other members that are elected. Do we have 9? I think we might have 9 members that go to the DNC and represent us. The DNC is interesting. It has standing committees, and those standing committees are like rules and bylaws, and these things manage the goings on of the national party. And they also have some constituent caucuses too. So we have standing committees and constituent caucuses, and you're going to see this organizational structure copied by our state committee. All right. So there's Ken Martin. There's Malcolm Kenyatta. Go Malcolm, our guy. He's vice chair. And we have, did you have some more pictures? No, okay, no. Alrighty, so the PA Dems, oh my gosh, we were established in 1792 before the DNC. Well, naturally, that makes sense, right? You have a whole lot of state parties coming together, and they determined we should go ahead and start a national committee. So that's how this happened. This is why this is before our state party is older than our national party. So the members are elected by voters during the gubernatorial primary year. Okay. So every 4 years at this time, the gubernatorial primary year is when people are elected to state committee. Now, you have to be a registered Democrat to do that. You do not have to be a county committee person or anything like this. Any Democrat can run to be a state committee person. It's tougher in some counties than others. I'm in a rural county. We have 24,000 registered Democrats, and usually we're begging someone to run. Who wants to run for state committee? In our county, we only get 1 state committee man and 1 state committee woman. Now, in other counties where much larger numbers of Democrats, they will be apportioned many more committee members. And oftentimes these are contentious races, and you'll have, you might have 20 people running for the 14 spots or something. So it can be pretty intense in some of those counties. Like I said, in other counties, we're just begging people to run. The state committee also includes a state chair, vice chair. Now, this is going to be interesting because this reorganization also happens right after the new members are elected, and which is kind of hard to do when you don't know the people, and now you're being asked to vote for your executive team. So it's kind of hard. We have an executive committee. It's a much smaller body. We get members on the executive committee come from each regional caucus. And the regional caucuses, that just like it sounds, regional caucus, these are bodies of representatives from each part of the state. So like there's a Northeast caucus. I'm in the South Central caucus. And I think we have 6 or 7 counties in my caucus. And so you send members from the regional caucuses to make up the executive committee. And then there are other committees, the standing committees, just like the DNC has. The state party also has standing committees, rules and bylaws, campaign and candidate development, financial, affirmative action, diversity. We have a lot of committees, but we also have constituency caucuses. And that's what the Progressive Caucus and the Black Caucus and the Labor Caucus and the Women's Caucus, the LGBTQ Caucus, the Asian and Pacific Islander Caucus, the Latino Caucus, the Labor, there's a whole bunch of them.
And the Climate Caucus.
The Climate Caucus. Right. There are many of them. These are constituency caucuses. So there's a lot of committees and caucuses and people at state committee. Okay, Eugene D. Pasquale is our current chair, and Peggy Grove is our current vice chair. This will be until June. Okie doke. Next. Okay, at the county level, remember that's kind of the most basic, where the precinct people are elected to go to the county levels. Your structure there is, like I said, can be divided up into areas or regions. And the county committees are very similar to the state committee, which is similar to the DNC. Remember, it all kind of matches. You can have subcommittees, standing committees like bylaws, fundraising, candidate recruitment, voter registration, communications. Communications is a big one. So that's what county committees are like that. Precinct committee people, these are people who are voted from out of their polling place area, their precinct or ward. This is, so like in my precinct, I have 245 Democrats in my precinct. So I'm the precinct woman for my precinct. And we have gender parity. So we have a precinct woman and a precinct man that represents those 245 voters at our county level. Okie doke. So it's my job to get to know who my 245 people are. I have 4 years to get to know them. We canvass, we knock on their doors at least twice a year. We're on the phone with them. My son is also the committee man. We put out a little newsletter. So we try to keep in touch with our 240 Democrats or 45 Democrats. And that's what a precinct person does. And we take that information to our county committee, and then we try to advocate for the different issues that might be happening in our area. And then also our big job is to recruit candidates for office, for elected office, like county commissioner or state rep, state senator, this type of thing. School board's a huge one for us. So that's what precinct people do. How we reorganize, we're going to go kind of quick because I don't want to eat up all this time. When we reorganize, we do that, like I said, every 4 years during the gubernatorial election year. Okie doke. And then after everybody's elected at the end of May, then like 6 weeks later, it's according to a bylaw, we go ahead and meet in late May, early June, and we bring all the new committee people on. Same thing with state committee. Everybody gets reorganized and they show up. And you all get to meet each other. Like I said, it happens every 4 years. Okay, next. Every 4 years, we get a new executive board. how a caucus forms and grows. So how did we end up with a progressive caucus or a black caucus or a labor caucus or a rural caucus? That's another big one. Someone decides, I think we need a climate caucus, by God. And then you put together a petition and you walk it around all of the state committee people, either by phone or email, or you physically meet with them at a state committee meeting, and you collect signatures on a petition that says, we voters want to have, we state committee members want to have a new caucus. And then, of course, you have to do all that good work. You have to come up with bylaws and a mission statement and a vision and all these things. So one of the things that we've done with the Progressive Caucus is we have something called the People's Room. And everyone is invited, well, Democrats, all Democrats are invited to come to the People's Room. We have this at state committee meetings. And that's where a lot of people get together and they talk about things that they'd like. So for example, people wanting to have a climate caucus. And so they talked about it in the People's Room, and then they developed that through there. So anyway, our Progressive Caucus was started in 2011, and we went ahead and got the signatures, put together the bylaws. We established a mission. Here's our mission as a Progressive Caucus. We aim to put these core values into practice, and we promote educational opportunities that deepen the understanding of the needs of our communities, and we strengthen our party. So that's something that, each one of our caucuses has this type of founding documents. Our mission statement, we have that, and then we have
who are involved and interested and want to know and want to care and want to give and want to know what they can do in this crazy, messed up, upside down world to make a difference. That's why a bunch of people are running for Congress, and you're going to hear from them next, right? Like, we feel it so deep that we're willing to go out of our way to do things that are hard because we care. And I think that's where you can do that good stuff, like, you're collecting for the food pantry, you're having like this group show up at a downtown business to help them stay together. You're doing things that educate and inform. I know that just speaking out here in Northampton County, in Easton, people were able to stop like a warehouse from going in, and it's because people networked, and it didn't have to be the Democratic committee. We shared each other's information. It's like a cross-pollination of flowers in the spring, and we grow together. But you got to avoid burnout at all costs, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint. I know we got a lot of people who've been with us a really long time in the Democratic Party, and I honor them because I'm so impressed with their stamina and their grit. I'm like, wow, I hope I can keep it together that long.
Thank you, Ms. April. We have about 1 more minute with your presentation, ma'am.
Yep, thank you. So you do what you can, where you can, when you can, for whom you can, because you can. Right? You help yourself first. Go back to that one. You could help yourself first, and then you help the people next to you. Okay. So here we go to the Q&A. Do we have any questions in the chat?
Not at this time.
Okay. So on this path together, I'll just say, I hope that we can move towards justice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
thank you.
Be excellent to each other.
Well, thank you so much to you, Sheri Morgan and April Niver of the Progressive Caucus. You are invoking spring and the pollination of flowers. And so I personally appreciate that. Thank you so much. And
7 p.m.
Be the change, be a good neighbor, stay connected, be the connectors, and create a network of contacts. Be involved and do good things. I think those are words to live by, and thank you so much for bringing those to us this evening. we are going to hear from briefly Chair of Northampton County Democrats, Mr. Dennis Brown, who's put together a really incredible presentation for us this evening with regard to the congressional candidates. And so, Dennis, if you are able to come upstage and give us a brief understanding of what we are about to see, we would appreciate that.
I don't see Dennis. Dennis said that he just would be a little late, but just to explain, I'll try to explain exactly what took place. What Dennis has done as the chair of the Black Caucus is actually take the lead in analysis, and he does a very thorough analysis. And what Dennis basically did for all the candidates was to identify their website, identify their social media, to identify strictly what they said, and then create videos that will basically explain their position. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at what those positions were. I'm going to play a video that he's done so far. We got a little time, and I'll show you one of the videos that's going to explain exactly who this person is. Now, it'll be Alma, who's actually running for Congress. She won't be able to be here, but I'm going to play this so you can see what Dennis's work is. Okay? All right, good. I'm going to share this right now. And when Dennis comes in, we can all thank Dennis for all his hard work, tremendous amount of work he's done. Okay. So here we go. All right. So let me find it. So here's example. And I have to start that again just to make sure it's optimized, or else Dennis will yell at me. Okay. Optimize for video. Good. Oh, it's already optimized. Okay, sure. All right, good. So I'm gonna play it.
We don't have audio.
Don't have audio?
Correct.
All right, let me start it again. Hold on. Just a minute. Give me a minute.
In the meantime, I do have a quick question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
An anonymous attendee said, what is the state doing to protect voter rights?
I can speak about that a little bit. This is Sheri Morgan.
Sure. Yeah,
I was doing election protection trainings all day long. The state party does have an election protection team filled with attorneys. Each region has an attorney assigned to them, if not two. Mine is Salman Ismat and Jake Sternberger, I think. Anyway, we have attorneys that are available. We have phone numbers you can call them if you're having problems with anything that's happening on the day of the election. But there is a team, the state party. If your county committee doesn't know who it is, you should have them contact the state party right away, because there is a team of attorneys. And our county, Franklin County and Fulton County, we have our own attorney that comes from he volunteers with the state party, and he's real-time attorney that sits in our county courthouse.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions? I'll be glad to answer them. Is there a way for us to see who is on this Zoom? If you're on your laptop, PC, or iPad, at the very bottom, starting from the left to the right, you'll see audio, video, and then you'll see an icon after a small dark black space, participants. If you click on that, you'll be able to see who is in the Zoom.
Okay. Now, I can tell you the panelists are in the Zoom. Now, do me a favor. Can somebody give me co-host? It seems as though I can't optimize the video?
That would be Corinne.
Corinne, can you do that?
Yes, let me work on that right now.
Okay.
In the meantime, I will attempt to answer any questions. If anybody has a question they want to put in the Q&A, I'm available.
Pam Stroman has a question. Her hand is raised.
Okay.
You're good, Chairman.
I'm good now?
Yes.
Okay.
If you'd like to unmute Pat and ask your question, we'd be glad to answer it.
Just a minute. Pam, let me try to find her. Okay.
You should be able to talk.
Here we
Hi,
go.
I
Just a minute.
apologize. I was raising my hand because I thought you wanted to count of how many people on this phenomenal call today. And that's why I was raising my hand. So I appreciate you guys. And Mike,
Okay.
I know you the GOAT of this whole thing, okay?
Thank you. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. Okay, good. All right, thanks. All right, so right now I am actually, believe it or not, I'm optimized. I'm trying to optimize so you can't hear the sound, because when I place the video, you can't hear the sound. Okay, so let me try to see if I can fix that again. What if I sent a video to you guys? If I send it to you, you think you might be able to play it? Corinne?
I can certainly try.
Okay, just a minute. I will email that to you. Sorry about this. I don't know. I do not know why it's not being optimized for video. The only
No.
options that I have right now, unless there's something new, is share sound, optimize. It's all blacked out. I don't know why. Okay.
You can certainly try to send it to me and I can,
Okay, sure.
do my best. And Mayor Wayne, I think we have 2 other questions in the chat.
Right. One question from Mr. Bill Brown is not a question, but thanks for this event. Thank you, Bill, from the Saucon Valley School Board. I appreciate your comment, sir. And an anonymous attendee, of the candidates up for re-election, what qualities do you think are necessary to protect the rights of the most vulnerable constituents? I will pass that question to either Sheri or April. Either of you would like to speak? Okay, April?
Well, I'll let Sheri go first.
No, I was just thinking, so we want to, the question I thought was to candidates. So it's not. All right. So what do we want candidates to do for what they can do for the most vulnerable folks? Well, number one, find out who they are in your district. Find out who has a vulnerability among the people that you are representing. So where I'm at, we have people with disabilities. Certainly they have vulnerabilities. You know what, who has the biggest vulnerability, or one of the biggest vulnerabilities in my county, would be foster kids who are aging out of the system. Now, a lot of times people are like, it's hard to find who's the most vulnerable. But where I live, they're the folks that have the fewest resources. Our farmers are extremely vulnerable, but there are more resources for them. So what I would look at is see what resources you are lacking, because whatever resources you may be lacking, there's a whole group of people that are needing those. So get to know your community and find out where the needs are, because people are willing to tell you.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to keep going. If that was a question for the candidates, I'm a little bit afraid because we have quite a few candidates on here and we want to give them their opportunity to speak for 5 minutes. If we let each one of them answer that single question, we might run out of time. So I am also moving on to the next question. Tanika Williams, what is being planned to assist in getting the community to vote? Now that would be a Corinne or Michael question.
Chairman, did you want to take that?
No, you can handle it, Corinne.
In terms of, I think I think there's a lot of galvanization in this particular election cycle and personal reason for people to vote in this particular election cycle. But some things that we are doing is providing information, right? Doing sessions and forums like the one we're doing tonight and last Monday that we did talking about the Voting Rights Act and the recent Supreme Court decision. So making sure that people are aware of the impending legislation that's going to affect them, and really hoping and asking that people, right, involve themselves in the fight for collective justice and democracy, right? So hosting forums like this and making sure that we get out information, such as the new law in Pennsylvania being passed that's going to be taking effect on June 6th, right? Making sure that our constituents know about these things that are happening. The fact that, for example, the do no harm rule, right, is coming out with a May 20th deadline for public comment, making sure that people are aware of the fact that if that do no harm rule were to pass, that 92% of cosmetology schools across the country could lose their financial aid. So those issues affect, in particular, the Black community, but really so many other entrepreneurs of other different races and backgrounds. And so making sure that we're getting that really pertinent, critical information out and asking people to go out and vote. And so we'll put that out tonight on this call, right? Because I think that everybody on this call is going to be voting. But what we want you to do tonight is make sure that 10 of your friends tell 10 of their friends to go out and vote, because that's going to make the difference. So thank you so much for that question.
Sure. And everything Corinne said is 100% right. One of the things that I think is extremely important too is that we have to learn to invest in communities and not really focus on just the October time of getting out and voting. And so that means that sometimes we want to spend some time to focus, especially in minority communities, and you invest in people that look like you, look like us. So we just don't see people showing them in October say, we want your vote. So we really need some investment in the communities if you want them to participate. Okay, extremely important. All right, good. And Corinne, I emailed you that video. Okay. Good. Wonderful.
Okay. Mr. Dennis Brown said, I am in the webinar only. Sorry, I don't have the link to the presenter Zoom.
Welcome, Dennis. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to start to play this video just to see if you guys can hear my audio. If you can, we'll play this video, and then Dennis, you'll be more than welcome to come up and speak.
This is the brief on the congressional candidacy of Dr. Alice Sanford for Pennsylvania's 3rd District. So with longtime Representative Dwight Evans retiring, Dr. Sanford is stepping right off the medical front lines and into a crowded Democratic primary. She's kind of pitching herself as a political ER doctor, a frontline problem solver ready to triage Washington's chaos. First, to understand why she's running, we got to look at her background. You might remember her founding the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium to bring vaccines to underserved areas. Growing up in Philly, Section 8 housing, she beat the odds to become the first Black female pediatric surgeon fully trained in the US. Now, she's jumping in as an outsider to fight Donald Trump's proposed cuts to healthcare, education, and housing. Second, she's using that personal history to drive her core message of health equity. She's a huge advocate for Medicare for all and fiercely defends the social safety net. In fact, she famously calls programs like SNAP and Medicaid a bridge, not a crutch that helped her succeed. Finally, let's talk about her chances in the pushback. Her strongest asset, retiring incumbent Dwight Evans, actually endorsed her to take his seat alongside 2 other local congresswomen. She's really selling herself as a doer who delivers results. But does medical brilliance automatically translate to political savvy? Opponents point out she skipped a major YA primary debate, fumbled a TV question on ICE, and faces media scrutiny over her nonprofit's tax returns regarding $962,000 in unreported compensation. Ultimately, Dr. Stanford is banking on her reputation as an action-oriented lifesaver to convince voters she can cure what ails Washington.
Today on Tamron Hall, the dark side of fame. What really happened just overnight, and the
I
spotlight
know we
doesn't
love
come.
Tamron, but that's not why we're here. Okay.
Dennis is here.
Yes. Hi, everyone. And I actually was on the webinar, but I wasn't in the right one. But sorry for the mix-up. But basically, what I did with these, and I did it for a number of the candidates in the 7th district and the 1st district, the 3rd district, and the 10th district. And I used AI tools. Notably Notebook LM, which you can collect information directly from their websites. I also collected information that was in their websites that linked to newspaper articles and any forum or debate of the candidates. And by putting in a prompt, you can actually get a podcast generated based on the parameters that you put in. And with each one of them, I was able to put in the information that would describe the candidate, describe some of the things that people may be saying about the candidate, and also to give the candidate a chance to rebuff or to state, why they are the best candidate for the position. So it's something that can be done not only for candidates, we can do it for topics. It's something that can be done pretty quickly. Mike actually reached out to me earlier this week, and I was able to put them together. You can also do things like take the information that you have, and then you can do a translation to put it into another language. And this is all synced so that the actual avatar, the AI avatar, their mouth is synced pretty well, and it's actually on the Northampton County a YouTube page. Our plans are to use this for some of the topics we've been experimenting with the topics in terms of voter redistricting, that we can get information out in a very a short time frame within 2 minutes, but they have instructive information that people can actually learn from. And I think we're doing a pretty good job, but this is something that can be done, and you don't need a large budget for that, which is great. So that's basically where we're at.
Thank you so much, Dennis. Lamont is here. Have you seen, is Justin here? If Justin is here, let's move to Lamont, who's here. I believe Lamont's here.
Hello. Good evening.
Okay. Yeah, good evening, Lamont.
How are you, Michael?
Good, and you?
I'm doing really well, thank you.
Good, good, good. This is Corinne, and also Mayor Condor. This is Lamont. Lamont, can you tell us about yourself?
Sure. First of all, I want to talk about something that I think is a pressing issue for all of us. And folks like me need to be more engaged. And quite frankly, I am not feeling the necessary sense of urgency out there in the public in certain sectors that needs to be brought to this issue. Look, I think the most important legislation since the Civil War amendments was the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. We are now confronting a Supreme Court that is trying to dismantle all of those important gains that we've made since that time. And what I want to be very clear about, Michael, and everyone else on the call, we are not going back. We are going to stand up and we are fight like hell. And my plan is this. We all know, we're familiar with our history. We have had to confront bad Supreme Courts with making disastrous decisions for the folks in the past. And we've always been able to overcome them, sometimes very incrementally. And sometimes that's what we have to do. But what we can't ever do is give up the fight. And one of the things in my candidacy in Pennsylvania's 7th Congressional District, I am talking about is this. I would like to, when I get to Congress, file bills to have constitutional amendments to codify the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 into the United States Constitution. Now, we'll need to do updates and make some changes because times have changed. But the fact of the matter is, we need to make sure rogue Supreme Courts, conservative Supreme Courts who want to take us back and not move us forward into the future can't do it again. So that's the thing that's been on my mind lately. I feel a great sense of urgency about this matter. I know how difficult it'll be. I'm not Pollyannish. I know that this can't happen overnight, and its chances of success may take years and years. But we have to have this fight. America can't move forward unless we're moving forward together. So, Michael, you and I know one another well, but for the folks on the call, my name is Lamont McClure. I spent 10 years on the Northampton County Council, which is the governing body of Northampton County. And for 8 years, I was our chief executive. I was the county executive of Northampton County from 2018 until just this last January. It was the great honor of my life. And one of the things that I would like to say is I have always tried to be an ally. One of the things that I started talking about after George Floyd was murdered was that I recognized that I had privilege. And one of the things that I wanted to convey to the people who were concerned that folks weren't using their privilege, or indeed, some folks wanted people like me to shelve their privilege. I said, no, I'm going to use up all my privilege for the folks, for all of our communities. And once that's all gone, I'll go away. And immediately in the aftermath of the death of George Floyd, while I was county executive, I convened leaders from all across Northampton County and all across the Lehigh Valley to make sure that we understood the importance of that brutal, violent, horrible moment and what we could do to make things better going forward. And then we saw the inevitable backlash, the attacks against diversity, equity, and inclusion. And one of the things that I want to share with all of you tonight is that I did not back down. I still, to this day, champion diversity, equity, and inclusion. I won't give up. One of the things I'm very proud of, in Northampton County, we did a great job of reaching out into the Black and Brown community to find qualified people to have our jobs, right? Because if you're going to make a difference in the community, you need people who have power to help everyone and folks in the community. And one of the things that we accomplished is we have had hiring in the county without using quotas, just finding good qualified people, because sometimes you got to go out to find people because people can't always find you. You've got to recruit people just like any other employer.
A little less than 1 minute, sir.
I'm sorry. I'm running out of time. Hey, Mayor, how are you?
How you doing, sir? Good to see you again.
Okay, anyway, proudest thing that's happened to me in the campaign for Pennsylvania 7. I got the endorsement of the Black Caucus of the Northampton County Democratic Party. That is the thing that has made my heart sing and put the biggest smile on my face. That and Esther Lee's endorsement as well. That was a big deal to me too. So thank you very much for letting me jump on here tonight and talk with you. I really appreciate it. And those of you in the 7th District, I hope you'll vote for me.
Thank you very much, sir. Well done.
Thank you.
I'm checking to see. Okay, so I have an anonymous attendee who says, Why couldn't we get a real volunteer to record? Okay. Why couldn't we get a real volunteer to record the video instead of AI if all the info was already collected? Why use AI? It feels a little disingenuous. AI itself is becoming less accepted by the public, especially young folks, rather than more. Now, to this anonymous attendee, that's something that we can talk about at the end of the discussion. For right now, if anybody has a question for Mr. McClure, I'd be more than happy to field that and we can return to that question. And if you could type it into the Q&A, that would be very helpful. In the meantime, Mr. McClure, you were given your time and you gave your message. If there is one thing you wish you could just put on a microphone and blast to every potential voter, what would that one or two sentence be?
That Lamont McClure is the candidate who has the experience and the courage to go to Washington and make the changes that we need to rescue our democracy and to save our economy.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I haven't seen any other questions pop up. So, Corinne, if you'd like to move forward.
Well, with your permission, I will say good night.
Okay, I would say, Mr. McClure, feel free to fall into the background, but in case we get a question for you, if you could just give us 5 more minutes, we'd appreciate it. I know you're a very busy man.
No, I will, because I planned on being here at this time anyway, so I will. I'll hang on.
Just for 5 minutes, and thank you very much. If I have something, I'll hail you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. McClure. Have a good day, and best of luck to you, sir.
It was nice meeting you on the campaign trail.
Yes.
Thank you very much for being here. So we got started a little early and got to give you a preview, everyone, of how tonight's structure is going to work. Why? Because that's how we structured it this evening. And so what we're going to do is we're going to show for those candidates that weren't able to make it, we're going to have a 5-minute video that is AI. And Dennis already explained that, so thank you, Dennis. And followed by a 5-minute question and answer period. For candidates who were able to join us, they will be able to come on and speak after their AI summary is given. And so we are going to start.
Corinne,
Yeah.
I have 2 questions for Mr. McClure. May I ask those quickly? And Mr. McClure,
Absolutely.
I'll ask you to keep your answer to about 20 seconds. As a professional, I know you can do that.
Okay, I'll try.
And Mr. McClure, in codifying the civil rights in VRA, what would you add?
That's a great question. I think that what I would need to do is get to Washington, participate in hearings to find out what it is we need to update those acts, and then put them into the law too. I mean, clearly the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, all of the new law that would be incorporated there, we could also incorporate into the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act where they're appropriate.
Okay. And that is to Audrey Robinson. Thank you for the question, Audrey. And this is for Michael Peffley. How does Mr. McClure propose to unite the Black voting constituency with other progressive constituents to face what is coming?
That is a great question. And I think what we first need to do is put leaders forward who will fight. We have to demonstrate that we've shown up in the past, that we've had the courage to lead. And I can definitely demonstrate that in the community with respect to how I led after the murder of George Floyd and how I was able to bring multiple different factions together in Northampton County and across the Lehigh Valley to respond to that. And I think that that kind of experience will allow me to bring everyone together and prepare for what's coming next.
All right. Thank you, sir. The next questions and answers, the future questions and answers, I'll be forwarding them to our host. And right now, I'll go back to Corinne. Thank you very much, Mr. Lauder, and thank you, Corinne, for your patience. I mean,
Thank
Mr. McClure, I said Lauder. Sorry.
Thank you to our people who are participating this evening for your questions. We are going to get to Mr. McClure's video. And so he's going to be up next.
Desktop 11 item
Exploring
selected.
the platform of Lamont.
Full transparency, everyone. I have a cat. I have several cats. My cat stepped on my keyboard and it's doing weird things, just FYI. So here is Lamont McClure.
So today, we're exploring the platform of Lamont McClure, a candidate for Pennsylvania's 7th Congressional District. He pitches himself as a blue-collar shield, a tested local executive capable of fighting corporate power while keeping taxes low. First, is the whole drive for public service really stemming from his working-class parents? You know, he's built a career on fighting powerful interests. As a lawyer, he literally defended steelworkers and tradespeople against massive asbestos companies and even took on the opioid manufacturers. Second, let's look at his tangible record as Northampton County executive since 2018. He's invested heavily in green initiatives, actually preserving over 3,800 acres of farmland. And crucially, he fought to keep the Gray Steel nursing home publicly owned and operated rather than selling it off to a for-profit corporation. Finally, his fiscal approach argues you really don't need to slash essential services just to shrink government. I mean, he's passed 5 budgets without a single tax increase. He cut taxes by $1 million and still gave county employees raises, expanding caseworker positions, and keeping a massive public nursing home, all while actually cutting taxes by $1 million. How does that math translate to the federal level at the end of the day? McClure's ultimate pitch is that of a pragmatic fighter who has proven he can expand vital services without passing the bill on to taxpayers.
From Michael Lost to Me, Carol is up next.
All right, I caught that one early. So that was Mr. Lamont McClure. And we had questions and answers for him. So we are going to move on to our next candidate.
And Connie, we didn't see the video. Is there a way we can show the video as we're hearing it?
Oh my goodness, you could only hear it? Okay.
Yeah.
You know what, since we had Mr. McClure on and he was able to speak, can we go to his at the end? Since we were able to hear him speak already. Thank you, Mr. McClure, for being here. We are going to go to Carol next.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me just fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I think, Mayor, are you timing me? You're on mute. I just want to stay on track. I am notorious for going over.
You're being timed, yes. Starts
Okay,
now.
it's 5 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. There's the timer. Okay, I was looking for that. Okay, thank you so much. First and foremost, just give you a little bit of background about who I am. I actually grew up in a majority Black and Brown community. Last I looked, the school district that I grew up in is over 90% Black and Brown. So I've been paying attention to issues about racial justice my entire life. I see diversity, equity, and inclusion as a laudable goal. These are not terms that I run away from. My guiding principles are outlined in the NAACP's document titled Addressing the Disastrous Impacts of Project 2025 on the Black Community. In the last section, it states, quote, the NAACP will work in coalition with other civil rights organizations, policymakers, and community stakeholders to continue to develop and promote alternative policy solutions that ensure the protection and advancement of civil rights, social justice, and equity. That's what I'm trying to do that's what I propose and will dedicate my career to doing in Congress in terms of very specific areas, because I have 3 minutes left. In terms of voting rights and election protection, I'm horrified that the Supreme Court's recent decision to cut the Voting Rights Act, it took away Black voting power. In Congress, I will vote and I support and I want to be a co-sponsor of the John Lewis Voting Rights Act as a way to restore the intent of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. I want to ensure voices are not suppressed. We have to also remove structural barriers to voting. We also need to invest in community-based organizing in terms of economic equality, housing, and workforce development. The United Way of the Lehigh Valley found that 41% of our community are struggling to make ends meet. But if you look at the numbers more closely in terms of the different counties, if you look at where most of the people are of color, it's Lehigh County. And that percentage, instead of 41% folks struggling, it's 62%. So I'm hyper focused on ensuring that we find ways to bring down the cost of the essentials of life: housing, healthcare, groceries, utilities, and family care. But I also want to go to Congress to work on raising wages. And the most immediate and direct way is to raise the federal minimum wage. We saw a disaster this summer with the Republican budget bill that cut Medicaid to over 16,000 of our neighbors. It cut food assistance in terms of SNAP benefits to over 6,000 people here in the district. I also want to work on the first ever Office of Tenant Rights at the federal level to educate and protect tenants from predatory landlords. We need to crack down on Wall Street and large corporations that buy up homes and price families out of their own neighborhoods. We need to support and have incentives for first-time home buyers, including closing cost assistance, loan incentives, and first-time home buyers and home savings accounts. In terms of my commitment to the Black community in this district, I have a long track record of helping people get ahead, and that has included people of all stripes and all colors. I was a child therapist. That's how I started my career with very vulnerable populations. I even was a youth worker at a Boys and Girls Club shelter. I have led community-based organizations. I worked for Senator Casey, and I have been a volunteer for the Y of Bethlehem and Allentown, who are dedicated to combating racism. I also, when I worked at PPL and was able to work on the corporate social responsibility and part of the company giving out grants, we gave a lot of grants to worthy organizations that were focused on students of color. And on the campaign trail, I'm very, very grateful that I was able to earn the support of key community leaders like Pastor Greg Edwards, Ngozi Bell, Brenda Robinson, and other Black leaders. I guess that's my hook.
No, it's okay, ma'am. Just finish your sentence.
Okay. And I have made a lot of inroads with key groups that other folks who have been running for office have not connected with sufficiently. I have had meet and greets with for example, the Cameroonians of the Lehigh Valley and the Nigerian International Association of Pennsylvania. I have made a lot of inroads with different organizations and groups that are dedicated to, again, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm very grateful for the Black Caucus, who also supported my candidacy. So thank you so much. And I'll entertain questions.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, I guess there are no questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There is one question. again, same question from Harrisburg, 10th District. Currently, Scott Perry, how do you propose to get the Black voting and not voting yet constituency to enter into deliberate dialogue with other progressive constituencies to present the strong image of a united front?
Okay, I had accidentally hit the mute button. How to reach out? Well, it's how I've been doing it since I launched on May 1st of last year. I've been making inroads with different groups because I make the time. I show up, I talk, I have meet and greets, and I ask questions. And that's how we win over people. It's making the time and listening. And I gave you examples of the groups that I've connected with, Cameroonians of the Lehigh Valley and the Nigerian International Association of Pennsylvania, and the list goes on. A lot of members of different NAACP chapters as well.
Thank you very much. Corinne, I believe you're muted.
Thank you so much. Carol, we are going to play your video. Thank you. Now, before I do this, can everyone see?
Yes.
Wonderful. Let's see if we can all hear.
This is the brief on Carol Obando-Derstine's vision for PA07. Carol is a Democratic candidate for Pennsylvania's highly competitive 7th Congressional District, stepping up not as a career politician, but as an engineer and advocate who intimately understands the struggles of working families. First, let's look at her deeply rooted background. She immigrated from Colombia at age 3. Growing up in a working-class union household, she earned a master's in energy systems engineering from Lehigh University and has worked extensively across the public, private, and nonprofit sectors. She's basically a Swiss Army knife of public service, an engineer, educator, advocate, and bilingual leader all rolled into one, which is exactly why she understands this district's needs so well. Second, she brings tangible benefits to PA07. You know, it's easy for candidates to talk a big game, but what has she actually delivered for the Lehigh Valley? Well, as a nonprofit executive director, she helps students launch technical careers. And as Senator Bob Casey's regional manager, she connected folks with crucial services. And over nearly a decade at PPL Electric Utilities, she helped residents lower their bills. So this congressional run is simply a massive skill up of her existing community service. Finally, her core platform is laser focused on lowering costs. She wants to rebuild the American dream by tackling the day-to-day financial stress of housing, healthcare, groceries, and utilities, while firmly protecting reproductive rights and securing clean energy. Now, can a practical, data-driven engineer actually cut through the toxic partisan noise in Washington? Her campaign is betting voters want exactly this kind of level-headed problem solver. Ultimately, Carol Obando-Derstine is pitching herself not as a career politician, but as a tested community problem solver, ready to engineer a more affordable future for the Lehigh Valley.
So y'all, now Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, many know her from—
Stop that. All right. Thank you very much. Nicely done.
Thank you, Dennis, for that video. Oh my goodness, the Swiss Army knife of public service. I love that.
Thank you so much, Carol, for being here this evening. And I believe we don't have any further questions for you this evening, so thank you. So our next candidate that we are going to have come up and speak is Justin. And so if we could have Justin Douglas come up to
Hello.
the stage. Good evening. Thank
Sorry
you.
for the confusion and sorry, my name is Nora Peach. That's my campaign manager. And she set this up and I cannot find a way to change the name. I've been out knocking doors all day and I'm on my phone. Typically I'm at my desk instead of on my phone. So I know how to do it there, but the app's not letting me do it. So I'm Nora Peach now, but I'm Justin Douglas running for PA 10.
That's a good campaign slogan. Douglas, he's a peach.
Oh, look, someone changed it for me. It's Justin, no E, but at the same time, I'll take it. It's closer.
All right, sir, your time will start right now. And
Okay.
welcome.
Would you like me to do an introduction of just who I am?
Yes, sir. And the talking points that you'd like to get across to this audience.
Great. My name is Justin Douglas. I'm currently the county commissioner for Dauphin County, Pennsylvania. I won that in 2023. I ran for office. I was an underdog. I was a pastor for 20 years. So life of public service prior to entering into elected office. Ran for a seat that had been held by Republicans for over a century. Pulled off an upset on the night of the election. We were ahead by 42 votes, and we won by 184 after all the votes were counted. But I ran on a prison reform platform. Ultimately, Dauphin County Prison has had a lot of bad outcomes. The 4 years prior to me running, we had 18 incarcerated individuals die under the care of Dauphin County Prison. It was double the national average for deaths per 1,000 inmates. And I've been able to bring some substantive prison reform. One of the things that I'm most proud of is that the commitment to reentry. $65 million was abolished under my leadership. That's something I carried and really championed, of pay to stay debt that existed from like $5 a day you might pay as a resident of Dauphin County Prison, and that would leave with you and really be a hindrance to reentering and having a second chance. So that's something I'm proud of. We also have a new medical provider at the prison, which I championed, which I'm really proud of. As a county commissioner for 2.5 years, we've also expanded ballot drop boxes. We went from 2 ballot drop boxes to 7. We also initiated ballot curing, which I think is really important for anyone who makes a mistake on their mail-in ballot, gets the opportunity to fix it. Under my leadership in my first year, we doubled the first-time homebuyers program from $3,000 assistance to $6,000. We also raised the county minimum wage for our county workers. We have 1,600 workers to $16 an hour. I've really pushed hard for a progressive agenda. I'm not shy about being a progressive, and I think we need a progressive to take down Scott Perry, and that's why I'm running. My platform includes major reforms to ICE. In my opinion, abolish them, but if we're not able to, there needs to be true accountability to Congress. This president cannot use them as his own private militia. I also think we need Medicare for all or some type of universal system. The leading cause of bankruptcy in America is medical debt, and we need to address that. I also believe strongly that housing is a real challenge right now, and we need to be aggressive about pushing private equity out of housing. Our houses are being traded on the stock market, and it's unacceptable. I would ban congressional stock trading. We need to trust that our leaders are not profiting off their seats, but they're there to serve the public. I could go on and on about my platform. I don't know if that 2-minute clock is the rest of my platform or is time for questions. But my agenda has been, I'm not taking corporate PAC money. We are mobilizing people on the ground, hundreds of volunteers, knocking doors. I've been knocking doors all day, and I believe we are positioned to pull an upset.
Thank you very much.
We have any questions?
There are 2 questions.
Good.
All right. So first question for you, Justin, is basically the same question that was asked before. How do you propose to unite the African-American progressive voting bloc in PA 10 with other progressive constituents scattered across the district to present a formidable, capital letters, formidable united front in order to protect us all and take us all back to constitutional order? Well stated by Michael.
It's a great question. Great question. Well, so we've already been doing that. We've been showing up regularly. Just this last weekend, I spent in York. I visited two historic African American churches, listening, hearing what their priorities are, doing my best to build relationships across Pennsylvania's 10th district. I have a lot of relationships in Dauphin County, which, if, for those who don't know, that's Harrisburg and Hershey. But been building relationships in Carlisle, in York, in Mechanicsburg, and Camp Hill, and ultimately with a diverse group. And I spent time on Allison Hill on Thursday, knocking doors. That's a predominantly African American community. I'm doing everything I can to be on the doors, listening to the people, and showing up. I showed up to the sororities and fraternities, historic Black sororities and fraternities debate. My opponent did not. I've shown up to multiple other, the Catch is another one that's put on by African-American leaders, forum and town hall. I've continued to show up to those places, listen, learn, try my best to grow and understand how best I can represent all people throughout Pennsylvania's 10th. As a leader, as a county commissioner, I've had that same spirit. We instituted prison town halls when I first got here just to be accessible to the public. And every 3 months we have a prison town hall. Scott Perry hasn't had a town hall since 2019 in person. And ultimately, I'm the candidate that shows up and listens and does my best to try to understand and hear. And I think that is something that is missing in public service right now. And when you do that, people feel included.
Thank you very much. I have two more quick questions for you.
Yep.
If you can give your answers in 30 seconds.
Okay, I'll do my best.
It may be difficult, but I believe as a pastor, you have been down before.
You got to be careful giving a pastor the floor,
I know. So what have you done to improve health conditions for prisoners? Many of them file complaints specifically around Eighth Amendment violations, complaining of deliberate indifference from prison medical providers.
Yes, this is a real problem in Dauphin County Prison. It's gotten better, but we haven't addressed it entirely. And I'll be honest about that. It's something that we need to continue to aggressively address. Our current provider is, I think, much better than our last one. The outcomes have been a lot better, but that doesn't mean there's not room for improvement. And so I see all of those. They're called extraordinary occurrences when they come through, and I investigate, and we create plans plans of action for speaking with our provider and doing everything we can to ensure that if something was done wrong, that it's that it doesn't happen again, and if not, that just communication improves.
Thank you very much, sir. Last question. I am not in your district. This is from Audrey Robinson, but I am interested in your position on data centers and detention centers.
So on data centers first, we should have a moratorium until we can get the municipal leaders the tools they need to make sure that the decisions they're making and the impact they're going to have on the environment and consumers who are going to pay more in electric are addressed. Senator Sanders has made that proposal. I would be for that proposal. Detention centers. If you look at Core Civic and Geo Group, they basically bought this presidency. They gave this president all kinds of money to get him across the line. And ultimately, that was a bet they made in the casino that has made him a lot of money because he's filling them. 80% of people in ICE detention right now have no criminal record. We, as a congressman, I would plan on visiting Moshannon Valley regularly. And if denied access, I would make a big deal about it because it's my job to have oversight. And so ultimately, for-profit prisons should not exist in this country.
Thank you very much. That was very concise. Well done, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all for doing this.
Thank you. Corinne?
Yes, and I just want to be clear, that is Justin, Justin, Douglas, Douglas, 1S. And so I just want to make sure we get your name correctly. Justin, thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate that.
We are going to play your video, so stay tuned.
This is the brief on the congressional candidacy of Justin Douglas. As we gear up for the May 2026 Democratic primary for Pennsylvania's 10th congressional district, Dauphin County Commissioner Justin Douglas is positioning himself to you and me as the bold, grassroots alternative to unseat Republican incumbent Scott Perry. First, let's talk about why he's running. Douglas is a working class kid turned pastor who flat out refuses to compromise his principles. I mean, He actually lost his pastoral license for fully including LGBTQ plus individuals in his church. He's stepping up because he sees everyday working families struggling while politicians just keep catering to corporate insiders. Second, those uncompromising values shape his primary message of people over profit. So, what does a truly bold platform look like in a contested district? Well, for Douglas, it means pushing for a 21st century economic bill of rights. He completely rejects Band-Aid policies for bold, progressive action, specifically highlighting his support for Medicare for all, raising the minimum wage, and implementing a total ban on insider stock trading for politicians. Finally, what's his strongest case for PA 10? Look, we have to address the elephant in the room. He is facing a massive 35-1 fundraising gap against the establishment frontrunner, Janelle Stelson. Think of his campaign as a political David versus Goliath, where grassroots shoe leather is his slingshot against a mountain of campaign cash. He genuinely argues that people vote, money doesn't. And he has the proof back in 2023. He used this exact grassroots strategy to flip a Dauphin County commissioner seat that Republicans had controlled for over 100 years. Justin Douglas is betting that unapologetic, progressive values and relentless local organizing are the ultimate antidote to establishment money.
Hi there, everyone. It's 4 o'clock in New York. It hasn't even been 20.
That's amazing. That was a really good synopsis of the campaign. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I was going to say it all came from your website, sir.
It was well done.
Corinne?
Thank you for being here, Justin Douglas.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Are there any questions?
Do not have any questions at this time. Well, we've given them questions already.
Yes, and I know that we have Lucia Simonelli here, so we are going to bring up Lucia next. So thank you for being here, Lucia. We're actually going to play your video first and then let you go ahead and speak.
This is the brief on the candidacy of Lucia.
Make sure it's being shared. One moment.
Simonelli for This is the brief on the candidacy of Lucia Simonelli for Pennsylvania's 1st Congressional District. Meet a working class kid turned PhD mathematician and former Senate science advisor who's stepping up to bring unapologetic, scientifically grounded policy to Congress. So first, why is she even running? Well, she thinks bad politics are literally ruining good policy, letting billionaires hollow out our working class communities. Her whole mantra is that this isn't an us versus them fight between Democrats and Republicans. It's up versus down, the ultra wealthy against the rest of us. And because she takes absolutely zero corporate PAC money, her grassroots campaign is kind of like an immune system trying to fight off the infection of dark money in our politics. Second, how is she going to beat Brian Fitzpatrick, the moderate Republican incumbent? You know, Simonelli argues Democrats can't win by just acting centrist. I mean, does playing it safe actually win elections anymore? Instead, she offers a totally stark contrast, blending her gritty roots with elite Senate experience in climate and energy. Plus, having a PhD mathematician running for office is incredibly rare. Finally, let's look at her bold platform. She's ditching the Band-Aid fixes for 3 huge goals: universal health care, a $20 minimum wage to match the actual cost of living, and a strict moratorium on AI data centers. She's basically the scientist in the room saying, hey, let's check the math before AI's massive energy drain accidentally crashes our power grid. Ultimately, Simonelli is offering voters a fiercely progressive, scientifically driven fight to reclaim power for the working class.
It should.
Thank you for that. I love the idea that we're the white blood cells. Um,
Okay, Lucia, I will start your time right now.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. It is truly an honor to be here. My name is Lucia Simonelli. I'm running for Congress in District 1. I was born and raised in Lansdale. My mother's family has lived in the area for over 50 years, and my father immigrated to this country in the 1980s. When I was young, we lived paycheck to paycheck without health insurance. We depended on public services, libraries and parks and transit and education, which was the lifeline for me. I eventually got a PhD in mathematics, and after graduating, I taught math around the world, in Latin America, in Western Africa, and in the Middle East. One of the things that I saw through these experiences is the impact of climate change and how that impact is disproportionate, hitting countries and communities the hardest that have contributed the least to the problem. For the past 7 years, I've worked on climate and climate justice, for a time in the United States Senate and now for a nonprofit. Historically, frontline communities, especially when we talk about chemicals and fossil fuels, have been communities of color. We live in a state that is marked by Superfund sites, fracking, and now data centers. I advocate for a moratorium, just as Justin said, largely on the basis of equity, because we need to equip all communities, not just the rich ones, with the information, the tools, and the power to make decisions about what we want or what we do not want in our neighborhoods. I advocate for Medicare for all, because healthcare is a human right. A Black woman is 3 times as likely to die from pregnancy-related complications than I am, because there is bias and racism in our medical research, the data that we collect, and also because healthcare and quality healthcare is not universally accessible. I advocate for legalizing weed because I like it, but also because it's an issue of criminal justice reform. It is not fair that a Black person in Pennsylvania is 3 times more likely than I am to get arrested for it. And in some places in this country, almost 10 times as likely. I advocate for making voting easier, not harder, and to end political gerrymandering through things like independent commissions and multi-member districts, because representation is power, and it's being stripped from communities of color, from women, from anyone who does not fit the mold of white Christian nationalism. And to that end, I advocate for Supreme Court reform, because to have equal protection under the law, those who interpret the law must be held accountable. We need term limits and an enforceable, binding code of conduct. Our message is one that has been generated through community input, founded on the acknowledgement of systemic injustice and the realization that the status quo won't fix it. We need something different. If you're in the 1st District, I encourage you to check out the choices you have in this primary across offices, from Congress to State Senate to State Committee. I'll close by saying that there are some things that I know well, and many more that I don't. There are things that I will never know, like what it's like to be Black in this community, or in this state, or in this country. But I can try to learn from those who do, and I am incredibly grateful for the opportunity to participate in this event. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So here's a comment from Carol Obando-Derstine to all the panelists. And she says, Lucia is the real deal. I send her love and strength from PA 7.
Carol, right back at you. Thank you. Thank you, my friend.
I like the teamwork. I don't see any other questions for Lucia, but please don't go away, Lucia. Please stay on for about 5 minutes. If we have something come up, we'll call you out.
I'll be here till the end. You're stuck with me.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we've got Ryan Crosswell, believe it or not, but he's under the name of Nick. Is that you, Ryan? He just sent me an email.
You're Nick.
Ryan, is that you? Under Nick?
Nick just popped in.
Okay.
Let's unmute. Let's unmute Nick. Nick, please unmute.
Yeah.
There he is, Nick.
We up? Oh,
You are up, sir. You are on. You are hot mic'd.
there we go.
Yeah.
It's fine. I just can't see myself, but I'll take your word for it. Am I good to go? Okay. We good?
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Oh, so thank you. Anyway, thank you all so much for having me tonight. I apologize that I'm in a t-shirt right now. Was just knocking on doors all day, and I'm actually upstairs at the residence of someone who just hosted a meet and greet for me. So my name is Ryan Crosswell. I'm running for Congress in Pennsylvania's 7th District. My biography, son of a special education teacher, small business owner, started working at my dad's small business when I was 12 years old. Was at college when the attacks on 9/11 occurred. So that was the first time I considered public service. Went on to law school at Duke and was studying. I wanted to be a legal history professor, but just at that point, I really decided I'd like to serve in the military. So I joined the Marine Corps, Mary Wayne, Semper Fi. Still serve as a Marine. Still serve as a Marine officer. I'm a lieutenant colonel, 17 years in the reserves. My full-time job for the last 10 years was as a federal prosecutor. I've prosecuted drug traffickers, sex predators, violent criminals, fraudsters. But for the last 5 years, I was at the public integrity section of the Department of Justice. And if you all remember the Valentine's Day massacre, quote unquote, at the Department of Justice last year, where 11 prosecutors resigned because they were ordered to drop the criminal case against the mayor of New York as part of a quid pro quo with the Trump administration. I was one of those prosecutors who resigned because that's not how we do things in America. We don't allow the rich and the powerful to get out of criminal charges because they strike a deal with the president, which in this case was to enforce Trump's immigration crackdown in New York City. So I decided to fight back. I testified about what happened. I joined a law firm that is suing ICE on behalf of people that have been detained illegally. I publicly opposed the appointment of Emil Bove, who was the member of the Trump administration that forced my colleagues and I, gave us the ultimatum to drop the case. Publicly opposed his nomination to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, so much so that he personally attacked me in a letter to Chuck Grassley, which hangs from my refrigerator. And I decided to run for Congress here in PA7. The case I am making to voters, number one, is electability. There are mailers hitting the mailboxes every day this week that are attacking me and me alone because I am the candidate in this race that Ryan McKenzie does not want to face. 27 combined years, law enforcement, military. That sells in every living room, and even in the more conservative areas of this district. But number two, also preparedness for the job. The public integrity section was the section of the Department of Justice that held the rich and the powerful accountable, that held corrupt politicians accountable, that protected our elections, and that protected against campaign finance violations. And the president got rid of us intentionally. It was about 30 prosecutors with that expertise. This is an opportunity for the people of the Pennsylvania 7th District to send one of those prosecutors back to Congress. And in this no king's moment, I talk about affordability. I talk about, healthcare, health insurance, gas, education. But I think it's important to recognize that this administration has abused its power more than any in American history. And it does not matter what laws you pass if you have an administration that will not follow the law. I have stood up this administration. I have the capability to do it and the federal expertise in not just corruption, but other areas as well: cybersecurity, national security, border security. I also bring the expertise of a Marine officer. I've taught the laws of armed conflict, and we have multiple international conflicts right now. But I think even more importantly is the people of this district know that I will stand up to this administration because I've already done so. And so, in a time when candidates across the country campaign on standing up to Trump, I've done so more than maybe any other candidate in the country over the last year. And that's really important. And I will leave you with this sort of story. Before I testified to Congress, Senator Adam Schiff walked in and he told me that one of the other witnesses had a threatening letter delivered to her children by the U.S. Marshals threatening her if she testified. She wasn't home. This is what I learned right before I testified. But I did it anyway because I am a Marine. I served my country nearly my entire life. I knew it was the right thing to do. And I knew that the American people needed to know about these abuses of power. So, again, I'm happy to be here, happy to take any of your questions, but looking forward to winning on Tuesday and taking back the seat and taking back this House and for all of us to take back our country. And thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. I have a question. It seems to be the same question. So I'll say it in this fashion. Again, how do you propose to unite diverse constituencies to make forceful progressive voting blocks?
Sure. So I think the most important thing is, to get into the neighborhoods, talk to the voters, find out what's most important to them. I think that across races and ethnicities, even socioeconomic classes, so many Americans are suffering from the same problems. And most predominantly, it is a growing inequality in wealth, that the richest of the rich are getting more and more wealthy, and everyday Americans are struggling more and more. And it's making it harder for young couples to start a family. It's making it harder for students to pay for education and then find a job afterwards. It's making it harder for us to pay for gas at the pump. And so I talk a lot about more economic equality, and that really revolves a more reformed tax system that shifts the burden from middle and working class Americans to the wealthiest Americans. That is a message, Mayor Wayne, that I believe resonates everywhere. And it's a message that I don't believe the Democrats are delivering in the most effective manner. I think it's really important.
Very good, very good. Now, here's another question, and I'll instead of 30 seconds, I'll give you 45 on this one.
Sure.
There is a report that you were a Republican until recently. Yeah. If that is correct, what was your motivation to run as a Democrat?
Sure. So, no, I mean, that's true. I did not switch my registration until after Kamala Harris lost. I thought she was going to win, but I have been voting for Democrats for the last 10 years. I'm what the Republicans call a rhino. I've always been socially progressive, but my joke is that when Donald Trump came down the escalator, I took it up. But if there's any area where I think I've probably evolved the most, because like I said, I've always been socially progressive, it is number one, the fact that I think this Republican Party is becoming more and more authoritarian, which is really scary for our democracy. But two, it is coming to appreciate that the regressive tax policies of the last 50 years, starting with Reagan on, that is what created the fertile ground for a demagogue like Donald Trump to come on the scene.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Sorry, Wayne, you're on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was telling Corinne she was muted. And here I am trying to make sure I don't have noise in the background.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Crosswell. And thank you for your service.
Thank you for yours. Semper Fi.
Semper Fi, Devil Dog. Corinne?
Thank you, gentlemen.
I apologize. That same question again for Lucia Simonelli. How do you propose to unite diverse constituencies to make a more forceful progressive voting bloc?
Yeah, I would have answered very similar to Ryan, so I'm just going to say tax the rich.
Okay, easy, to the point. Now, Miss Corinne.
Thank you both for those answers. We are going to get to your video now, Ryan.
This is the brief on why Ryan Crosswell is running for Congress in Pennsylvania's 7th District. You know, Crosswell is a former Marine and federal prosecutor who recently quit his dream job in protest. And now he's running to flip a key battleground seat to defend the rule of law and lower living costs. So what makes a guy walk away from the Justice Department to jump into one of the country's tightest political races? First, the catalyst. Crosswell worked in the DOJ's elite public integrity section, but resigned in February 2025. Why? Well, the Trump administration actually ordered him to drop a bribery case against NYC Mayor Eric Adams for political reasons. Crosswell flat out refused to violate his oath and quit. It's kind of like a whistleblower taking their case directly to the voters, rather than just quietly walking away. Second, his platform. Now, how does fighting political corruption connect to your grocery bill? It's simple. By stopping politicians who rig the economy for tech billionaires and corporate monopolies, he's targeting the Lehigh Valley's high cost of living by pushing a public healthcare option, holding those monopolies accountable for price gouging, and finally cutting red tape to build more housing. Finally, the momentum. Crosswell is bringing serious firepower, leading the Democratic primary field with over $1.1 million raised so far to challenge Republican incumbent Ryan McKenzie. Look, a massive war chest doesn't automatically buy you a seat in Congress, but it undeniably proves that his rule of law message is resonating loudly with donors and voters alike. Ultimately, Ryan Crosswell is leveraging his background as a Marine and whistleblower prosecutor to build a formidable, well-funded campaign focused on restoring government integrity and economic relief.
There is a way to hack every single interview to basically guarantee.
Mr. Crosswell, would you like to add anything briefly for 15 seconds onto what was put there?
No, just to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity. Really do appreciate it. And again, I apologize. I'm in a t-shirt, but I was out knocking doors. So, but thank you for this opportunity.
It's okay. You make it up to us. Next time you appear, you'll be in a three-piece suit.
You got it. I'll be in my dress blues.
Don't go overboard. All right. Thank you very much, sir. And best of luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Brent?
Thank you for being here. We are going to get to our next candidate, and let me just address one question that is in the chat. Do we have any candidates from the 5th District on tonight? And I do not believe that we do. Chairman Laws, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, we went through the 1st, the 3rd, the 7th, and the 10th. Those are the only ones. Okay. Okay. So no, we don't have them. Okay.
So thank you for joining.
Sure. Yep.
Yvonne, thank you for joining us. And we are going to go to our next candidate. That is going to be Ms. Janelle Stelson. We're going to play Janelle's video first, and I'm not sure if Janelle has joined us yet. But Janelle, if you have, you certainly can come up to the front stage, and we'll have you speak after your video plays.
Yeah, I emailed you her video. She won't be able to make it, but she did submit a video. So you can place the first video, then the second one with a special message, which is excellent.
Okay. And you know what? I'm just having a slight technical difficulty with Janelle Stelson's video. So we're going to come back to Janelle in one moment. We will move forward to Senator Sheri Street. Is Senator Street here? We will start with Senator Street's video, and if he is here with us, then he certainly can have the opportunity to speak.
This is the brief on the congressional candidacy of State Senator Sheri Street. He's in a highly competitive Democratic primary to replace retiring Representative Dwight Evans in Pennsylvania's 3rd District, which, you know, is one of the most heavily Democratic seats in the nation. But the stakes are so high for this open seat. Let's see exactly what Street is offering us first. He's pitching tangible action over esoteric ideas, rooted in his lifelong connection to North Philly. His core message is that struggling families don't need more speeches. They need someone who's going to immediately lower living costs and deliver the basics. Think of his pitch as being the builder rather than the architect. He isn't just drawing up progressive blueprints. He's actually putting hammers to nails to get things built. Second, his strongest case is a proven track record of bipartisan results in the state Senate. He literally created Penny, Pennsylvania's Obamacare exchange, providing health care to nearly 500,000 people, and secured $300 million annually for gun violence prevention. But you got to wonder, can a state-level deal maker actually replicate the success in a notoriously gridlocked Washington? Finally, he's totally ready for a national fight. He sued Donald Trump over a dozen times on voting rights. And get this, won every single case. That fighting spirit earned him massive establishment backing, including Philadelphia Mayor Sherrell Parker. Still, we have to ask, do his deep ties as the former PA Democratic Party chair make him too much of an establishment insider for a district hungry for bold change? Ultimately, he is a battle-tested, results-driven legislator aiming to take his North Philly pragmatism straight to Capitol Hill.
There is a very famous story.
All right, thank you for that video. And is Senator Street here with us?
If not, I have a question I'd like to direct toward Mr. Dennis Brown.
I do not see.
Yes.
Mr. Brown, there was a question from Yvonne Durham, and she says, oh, no, I'm sorry. That is not the question. Here it is. April would like to know more about the parameters for the AI to select the speaker's demographics for the videos. I promised her we'd cover it at the end, but we have a couple of minutes in between things here, so I thought I'd just get her an answer right quick.
Okay. The whole idea with the AI was to try to get the most information and the most condensed information from available information that's available to everyone. So basically, what we did was that we collected all the information on the candidate's website. We collected information that they presented as news, and we also collected information which was their responses during a forum and or a debate. That information was put into um, a a model tool that could actually condense all of the information into the most relevant, um, consistent uh, data from the candidate. So you basically you end up with actually a summation, a good summation of the candidate's platform, some of their um, uh, issues, their policies, their priorities, and we use that tool to create the AI video, first as a podcast, then we made that into a transcript that actually could go into a video AI model, a tool that actually generated the actual avatar and the video that you're seeing. So we basically use the technology to make a summation of a collection of information, and the collection was anything from 30 to 120 different sources. I hope that answers your question.
Can I jump in too?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I can tell you the work that Dennis put into this thing was absolutely fantastic, because you'll find that the information that he's capturing is basically, objective. He's capturing the information that is available, readily available, and pulling it into a very strong analysis. So I really want to give him a lot of praise and thank him for all the stuff he's done, because people don't understand the time that it actually puts together to actually do that. And oh, by the way, Dennis even created it in Spanish too, for Spanish speakers, for everybody. Okay. So thank you so much, Dennis.
Corinne.
Okay, so, but it's interesting to me how the speaker changes, right? Like we see the candidate, and in the first video, I just kind of presumed that it would be that same avatar for each candidate. But it's not, right? Like it's a different setting, it's a different picture, they're laid back, they're up front, they're moving. And of course, the relationship demographically between the candidate and the target audience, maybe, because they want me as a viewer to connect, to see myself in that person, or at least it's someone I can really relate to. And so I thought maybe that's reflective of how the candidate is targeting someone. Because why, right? They're using all the available data. How did they pick that that's what the avatar should look like, right? So that's what I'm getting at. Like it's making those connections. And so if for the candidates, like if that's not who you were going for as your target audience, like I think you just learned something interesting. Thank you.
Okay.
Awesome. Awesome, Dennis, before I'm done. This is so awesome.
All right, thanks. Corinne?
Thank you so much for your commentary, April. We are going to bring up next, and I don't believe we've seen Senator Street, correct?
No.
Correct.
Okay, understood.
He was here and then he was gone.
Okay, understood. So we're going to bring up next Chris Rabb. And we're going to play his video first, and
this
then
is the
we
brief
are
on
going
state.
to, if
Yeah, Chris is not here. We're just going to play it. Yeah.
Understood.
May I ask a question? Are there people who are here who are waiting so that we can allow them their time? Is there anybody who's here who has not spoken?
No.
Okay, thank you.
No. Slight technical difficulty. Let's try that one more time.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
This is the brief on State Representative Chris Rabb's congressional candidacy. So Rabb is a 5-term state rep running to replace retiring Dwight Evans in Pennsylvania's heavily Democratic 3rd District. And he's pitching himself as the bold anti-establishment choice. First, why is he running? Well, he's campaigning as an unbought and unbiased progressive who absolutely refuses corporate PAC money. He sees working families struggling just to survive. You know, so he argues, Washington needs a bold fighter, prioritizing the many, not the moneyed, rather than relying on establishment centrism. Basically, think of him as a proud troublemaker in the system. Stepping on the political establishment's toes isn't a bug for him. It's literally the essential feature of his campaign. Second, let's look at his actual record. He's pushing for Medicare for all, 100% renewable energy, and a $15 living wage that uniquely includes gig and incarcerated workers. Now, you might hear his opponents attack him by pointing out that over 10 years, he's never passed a bill with his name on it. But Rabb defends that by saying he prioritizes collaborative movement building results, like authoring the state's first ever police misconduct database, overtaking personal credit. Finally, he's gaining some serious real-world traction. The National Progressive Wing is totally coalescing around him. We're talking a major endorsement from AOC, backing from the Philadelphia Inquirer, and a massive Q1 fundraising surge driven by small dollar donors. But it begs the question, can this energized grassroots coalition genuinely outmuscle the massive $2.3 million super PAC currently flooding the race for his opponent? Chris Rabb is betting that District 3 voters are ready to send an uncompromising, movement-aligned progressive to shake up the status quo in Washington.
2 siblings at Cheney University.
All right, that is State Representative Chris Rabb, who's not able to join us this evening. So we are going to move on to our next video of Ms. Janelle Stelson. And Janelle was not able to join us this evening, but she did send us a very special customized video. So we are going to take a look at that now.
A lot about a place when you learn a lot about a place when you spend decades telling its stories. And as a journalist here in central Pennsylvania, I've had the honor of being invited into your lives, witnessing your joys, your heartbreaks, and your resilience. But over time, as the stories got worse, reporting was not enough. I wanted to do more, and that's why I am running for Congress. Working Black families are doing everything right, working hard, raising their children, and still struggling because the cost of groceries, utilities, housing, childcare, and certainly your healthcare keeps going up much faster than paychecks. I have toured minority-owned small businesses, some of them with Lieutenant Governor Austin Davis. One of the owners we talked to has a laundromat and gives back to the community with meals. She struggles with the chaotic tariff taxes. She and so many others are the backbone of central Pennsylvania. We want them to thrive, not just survive. My team served breakfast at a food kitchen in Harrisburg, packed with people who had lost their SNAP benefits during the longest government shutdown last fall. There were a lot of children and older folks there. It's the kind of struggle we should never see in this country. And 7-term career politician Scott Perry is making it worse. He supports the tariffs driving up prices on just about everything. He voted to strip healthcare away from millions of Americans, to fund tax giveaways for corporations and billionaires, adding $4 trillion to our overwhelming debt. He called lowering healthcare costs a colossal mistake, but he's happy to spend $200 billion on a war in Iran that risks lives and spikes gas prices. He supports sending money overseas, $20 billion to bail out Argentina, offering $700 billion to buy Greenland, Venezuela, and now the war in Iran taking American lives and many others. I'm running to lower the real cost of living by protecting food assistance, bringing down utility and prescription drug costs, expanding access to affordable childcare and housing, and making Black maternal health a priority. Affordability is not a buzzword. It's whether our elders can afford their medicine, our parents can keep the lights on, and our young people can build a future without being buried in debt. I will fix the corruption in Washington, voting for term limits and limiting my own, pushing for age limits and banning members from trading stocks. I sold my individual stocks before running and will not own or trade them in office. The attack on voting rights is devastating. Protecting the John Lewis Voting Rights Act will be a top priority. And let me be clear, defeating Scott Perry and taking back the U.S. House is the most direct way to hold people like advisor Stephen Miller accountable for the damage they are doing in our neighborhoods. This seat does not belong to Scott Perry. It belongs to the people of Central Pennsylvania, and you deserve someone who listens and will fight for you every day. In 2024, we came closer than ever, one of the closest races in the country. That happened because of our coalition built on shared values and real hope. I'm honored to have the endorsements of Governor Josh Shapiro and Lieutenant Governor Austin Davis, and thousands of working men and women from nearly 20 labor unions representing teachers, carpenters, steelworkers, firefighters, electricians, and so many more. It is going to take all of us to unseat the 7-term congressman who tried to deny our votes in 2020. I hope you will fight with me and vote with me. Thank you.
All right, so that was Ms. Janelle Stelson's video. Again, she was not able to join us this evening, but she did send us that special video for this particular evening. We are going to get to our final candidate for the evening, which is Bob Harvie, running for Congressional District 1. Bob was also unable to join us, and so we're going to play his video in his stead.
This is the brief on the candidacy of Bob Harvie. So Harvie, a former high school teacher and current Bucks County commissioner, is running as a Democrat to unseat Republican incumbent Brian Fitzpatrick in Pennsylvania's super competitive 1st Congressional District. We're going to break down exactly why he's running, why he thinks he can actually win this thing, and what he plans to do if elected. First, let's talk about his motivation. Harvie wants to literally restore the American dream for the middle class. You know, think of him like a fed-up teacher stepping into the hallway to break up a rigged game after 26 years in the classroom. He's just angry that Washington is catering to billionaires while working families are totally left behind. Second, his strongest case for the job is electability. Bucks County makes up about 90% of this district, and Harvie flipped it blue in 2019 for the first time in 40 years. He even won re-election when Republicans had a 9,000 voter advantage. But it really makes you wonder, can local crossover appeal actually translate to a highly polarized national race? Finally, his policy priorities are all about your pocketbook. He wants to raise the minimum wage, build attainable housing, and repeal the Trump tariffs, which he blames for inflation. And while Fitzpatrick leans super hard on the word bipartisan, Harvie is attacking that directly by pointing to his own local bipartisan results, like securing $27 million in small business grants during COVID. So wrapping up, Bob Harvie is banking on his deep local roots, moderate crossover appeal, and a working class economic focus to flip one of the most critical House seats in the entire country.
My favorite part.
All right. Thank you to Bob Harvie for that. Actually, thank you to Dennis for that video of Bob Harvie. And we actually have one last candidate. I know I made you guys really excited and said he was the last, but one final candidate is next. And that is going to be Bob Brooks.
This is the brief on Bob.
We're going to hear from him next and last and move on.
Bob Brooks. This is the brief on Bob Brooks' congressional run in PA's 07. Bob Brooks, a retired Bethlehem firefighter and union president, just entered a crowded Democratic primary to challenge Republican Representative Ryan McKenzie in Pennsylvania's 7th Congressional District. Literally one of the tightest battlegrounds in the country. So, why is a guy who spent 20 years fighting fires deciding to jump into the political firestorm of Washington? Well, first, it's all about the affordability crisis. He argues that working families are getting totally crushed by the cost of groceries, rent, and healthcare, while wages just flatline. He wants to lower housing costs, pass Medicare for all, and really crack down on price gouging corporations. Basically, he sees the economy as a burning building, with everyday workers trapped inside, while corporate bosses make off with the insurance money. Second, he's targeting the Washington status quo. He's specifically running to unseat McKenzie, whom he blasts for voting to cut health care and handing out tax breaks to billionaires. He also points to rampant corruption, politicians trading stocks, and the Citizens United ruling. It's easy to say Washington is a dumpster fire. Can one freshman representative actually build something better from the ashes? Finally, to win this fight, he's leaning hard into his authentic working class roots. Raised by a single mother, a bartender, he's worked 2 jobs, ranging from pizza delivery to dishwasher, and proudly rocks a bulldog tattoo and a fire helmet. It's pretty rare to see a candidate with more calloused hands than elite degrees, drawing support from opposite ends of the party, from progressive Senator Bernie Sanders to moderate Governor Josh Shapiro. Ultimately, Bob Brooks is betting that his blue-collar authenticity and focus on the pocketbook will be the ultimate antidote to Washington's corporate corruption.
My therapist told.
All right. And so that was Bob Brooks running for Congress. And we thank our candidates who were able to make it. And we have a question that we'll just read for the record. Why wasn't it important enough for Stelson to be on this call? Does she regret blaming the African-American voters of Harrisburg for her loss in 24? And thank you for that question. Thank you for the question. And so,
can we play her video? Maybe she can explain something there. Because her video, the one that Dennis did in that list, play that. And next we'll move on to the man, Billy Miller, who just got on. I'm so happy. I'm thrilled. All right. Well, we don't have to. Actually, Billy's able to get on. I'm sorry. Back to you, hosts.
Well, we actually can turn it on over to, that actually does wrap our candidates. So we can turn it over to campaign manager Billy Miller. So he can get some GOTV, which is short for those of you who don't know, which I'm sure everyone on this call does, but GOTV is short for Get Out the Vote. And so campaign manager Billy Miller, um, go ahead, the floor is yours. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much for having me. Of course, and thank you all for obviously all of the tireless work that you do just to make sure that Black voices and Black issues are heard and pushed to the forefront. So I thank the Black Caucus for your resiliency and your always your advocacy for issues, and the work doesn't go unnoticed by folks like myself who's always involved in statewide elections and local elections and things like that. So it's very, very important. And I appreciate the chance just to get on here and talk a little bit about GOTV. So GOTV, as you stated, Corinne, is a Get Out the Vote. We always look at that. Traditionally, GOTV used to take place. It was always the last 30 days of an election cycle. Now, pretty much since early voting has begun, I start GOTV pretty much 50 days out because that's pretty much when early voting can begin. The purpose of GOTV is actually driving the vote, right? So it's actually getting people to deliver votes and actually cast that ballot. And it's important now that since 2020, and we've allowed early voting, that our GOTV time has to start earlier. So since those times, we began to start GOTV, more like 50 days out. And normally what we do at those times is areas that have early voting areas or early voting locations, we try to make sure that we have vehicles available to bring people to and from. We do souls to the polls. We normally start that stuff. We normally start that pretty, about and on Sundays, like the month before the election, and those Sundays will afterwards we'll pick up folks from churches and we'll drive them to early voting locations, just to start driving those votes up. At the same time, we're also watching the Chase vote, and we're watching the vote by mail numbers. And traditionally, as you can track your vote by mail numbers, I'll take Philadelphia for instance, just to give you an example. When I'm saying the vote by mail numbers, when you look at Philadelphia currently, and I know the race that we're just to put things in perspective, the race that was just kind of talked about in Philadelphia was the 3rd congressional race, right? So in the 3rd congressional race, so far there have been 48,000 vote by mail ballots that were sent out in that district. Overall in Philadelphia for this cycle, there has been 85,781 vote by mail requests, which is actually trending a little bit higher than normal for a cycle like this. And already recorded in the 3rd congressional district. So that's the race where you just heard maybe Sheri Street, Chris Rabb, Dr. Ayla Sanford. That race right there, there's already 27,000 people that have already voted. So it's important. That's why it's important to start GOTV way earlier than 30 days. And during that time, you're chasing your mail ballots, you're running your text programs, you're doing your door knockers, you're leaving door hangers, and then you're doing a pretty robust field operation. In Philadelphia, what you try to do is you try to target the high turnout divisions where you make sure you're going to have people on polling places. And then for the low turnout and the drop-off voters, we send people directly to their doors to try to, coax them to come out to vote, give them some extra incentive, and tell people really what's on the line. So the important part of GOTV is really educating the voter enough and motivating them to actually go and place the vote. You're not doing the job of the candidates necessarily. It's their job all along to do their platforms and explain things. What you do during the GOTV time, it's important to let people know really what's on the line. And that's how you can start to gauge where your turnout can be, is pushing folks during the GOTV period. During that time, we do motorcades. Motorcades are when you get a lot of people to go in cars and you drive around neighborhoods and you start sound. You run sound trucks. It's like waking up your voter base, and you're telling people, hey, and in another 3 weeks there's going to be an election. We need you to come out to vote. And these are and during that time, while you're going to doors, you're putting QR codes on people's doors and a QR code. When they scan it, it can show them where they can find their closest polling place. So when somebody gets a door hanger on their door, it'll show some information about the candidate, but as well, it'll also show a QR code that'll be their call to action. So GOTV is you really closing out your call to action and getting those voters to the polling place. I know there's a lot of there's a lot of different tactics that are going to be put in place, especially in the 3rd Congressional District in Philadelphia. I'll run by a few that I've heard. I know that when you get, I mentioned the Souls to the Poll program, which people, try to run with the church communities and the support of the Black clergy, where you try to get people after church to go to the early voting locations. You'll be doing motorcades. Motorcades when you're going to be going around passing out information. A lot of times we also do during the Supreme Court retention races, we did food trucks. And we had food trucks outside of the early voting locations where people could come down and get a bite to eat after work, place your vote. And something similar like that will probably be happening on Election Day in Philadelphia. I expect that there'll probably be some, food trucks at places, as well as there's another tactic that colleges that I've just seen recently employed was they do DJs at polling places. So you find the highest polling places where you find a right demographic of folks to come out to vote, and you play the music at the polling places. You make the noise. People can come, and you make videos, and you tell people to come. You kind of make it a party. The one of the things we know, we're trying to bring the cool back into voting. Because one thing is, if we're all watching what's happening in Washington, it's not cool when you don't vote, right? See, the outcome of not voting anymore is just not an option. So what we're really trying to do is during this time period, this is your sprint to the finish. You've run your miles in your race, and now this is your last sprint to the finish at GOTV. So you implore all tactics.
Maybe we'll get him back because he was just getting to the meat of the conversation.
Yeah, he was just imploring and talking about some of the tactics. Let me tell you about some of the things that Billy has done in the past. Billy Miller basically is also, when we're talking about actually field work, he's done a lot in terms of Black Men Vote. I know that I'm the data manager for Black Men Vote in Philadelphia. Billy Miller has been the leader out in there. He will take probably around 20 or 30 people doing a number of different tactics. First tactics is telephone. He will actually be doing polls and actually doing contacts and reaching out to people on a regular basis. So that's one of the things he does. The other thing that he will actually do is that he will actually go and knock doors, hitting doors on a regular basis with a crew of at least 10 to 15 cars and mobiles, actually in Philadelphia. I could tell you in 2023 and also in 2024 and 2022, just in one particular month, we hit over 120,000 doors. Okay. Wait, here's Billy. There he's back. He's back again. We hit $120,000 door. I was bragging about what you did, Billy, with Black Men Vote. So continue. Sorry.
Yes. No. We were just kind of just explaining some of the GOTV efforts, but I know Michael and I we were running a program before with Black Men Vote, and it was obviously our goal to touch doors and to get people to come out to vote. We overshot our goal probably, I think, by about 20,000 doors. And it made a significant difference. You really learn that during these times that, voters miss real contact. Voters miss true engagement. And during these times, we were able to not just hit that many doors, we were also able to complete 75,000 phone calls where you actually had real engagement and true dialogue that took place. So, GOTV, we always implore, text messaging, phone programs, phone banks, auto dialers, any tool in the toolbox, to get folks to come out to vote. And what we've learned is, when you use that and you lay it over with data, which shows the people that have voted or the people that have requested vote by mail, you kind of know the voters that you can go after. So there's nothing better than being able to use all of the tactics available during these times to actually get a successful outcome. So, you know, a successful GOTV program means you'll be hitting your benchmarks and you'll be touching, you know, your overall goal and objective in turning out the vote. And obviously, your overall goal is obviously to increase turnout. And that's one of the biggest fights that we have in Philadelphia is increasing turnout, and a lot of time it's voter apathy, and unfortunately, voters come out more when they're angry than when they're happy. So you know, when things are all good and things are just going great, you know, a lot of times the turnout is just not there. We saw that happen during Barack Obama's second term during the midterms, right? Everybody was celebrating Barack and so happy that we had a president that made sense and did things like this. We stayed home, but I expect robust turnout this fall because folks are angry. I expect turnouts to be up a little bit this spring because folks are angry. Our vote by mail numbers in Philadelphia are up 15%. So you know, I think that anger is starting to move. I see my time whittling down. So you know, if there's any questions or anything else I need to do, you know, you guys, you know, I'm all yours.
Yeah, we got some questions, definitely, Billy. Hold on,
Yep.
I see April Niver. Is that April with a question? Her hand up?
I didn't really mean to do that, but
Oh, okay.
you know, just want to say that was super awesome though, since I came up. So
Thanks,
thank
April.
you so much.
Thank you so much, April.
And we do have a question from Michael. Did you want to put your question in the chat?
Michael Peevely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Well, Billy, you also do statewide campaigns too.
Absolutely.
What are some of the differences you would say out west and in terms of campaigning and maybe in the center of the T and campaigning in the T?
The things that I found out there in those areas is truthfully, it's very important to have third party verification. That's extremely important when you're going across the state and you're having other folks, you know, verify for you and things like that. But one of the folks that I've learned is when you're going across the state of Pennsylvania, you have to show up. So
Okay. Okay, great.
That was a great point to
That was a
end on.
great point, Billy.
You have to show up, so make sure you
Gotta
tell
show
Tim-
up. Okay, good. Good, wonderful. All right, so we're almost at the end. There's one thing I wanted to do. Sheri Street showed up. We weren't able to take care of him, but he did send a video, so let's play that.
We actually have one more video
One more?
to play.
Oh, okay.
Or, yes, before we play Senator Street.
Okay.
There was a question about candidate Stelson, and so we will play her video, and
Okay.
maybe that will illuminate
Yep.
some answers.
I believe
This
I'm
is the
back. Can you hear
on
me
the
now, Mike?
candidacy of Janelle
Hold it,
Stelson,
Bill.
a trusted TV news anchor.
I'll just start over really quickly.
Well, let's let Billy finish. Hold it. Sorry, let Billy finish. If you don't mind. Billy, you want to finish up? He just came back.
I think he froze again.
He froze.
Yeah, so we're gonna go
Came
to
back
our
and
really
froze
good
again.
Okay, all right, let's go.
We're gonna start Ms. Stelson. Here we go.
This is the brief on the candidacy of Janelle Stelson, a trusted TV news anchor of 30 years. She's running in the competitive May 19th Democratic primary for Pennsylvania's 10th Congressional District, seeking a rematch to unseat Republican Scott Perry. Now, name recognition
Billy, you
gets you
froze
in the
again,
door.
but it's okay.
But why trade the news desk for the campaign trail? First, her core message centers on being a nonpartisan, common sense guardrail against extreme politics. She's the exact same truth teller locals have trusted for decades, running because she believes people are just sick of the paralyzing partisan bickering and ruinous nonsense coming out of Washington. Okay, every candidate says they want to fix Washington, but what exactly is her blueprint to do it? Second, her top priority is economic relief for everyday folks, tackling soaring living costs, fighting tariff taxes, and lowering gas prices. She's also pushing an anti-corruption agenda, term limits, mandatory retirement at age 80, and
9
banning
p.m.
Congress from trading stocks. Plus, she's firmly running on codifying Roe v. Wade and protecting Social Security. Having a solid platform is great, but in a district, Donald Trump won by 5 points. What makes her think she can actually cross the finish line? Finally, let's talk about her undeniable electability. She already proved she can compete, coming within just 1% and about 5,100 votes of beating Perry in 2024. And to put her war chest into perspective, she outraised all PA congressional candidates in Q1 2026, sitting on over $3.3 million in cash. She holds a staggering 35-1 cash advantage over primary opponent Justin Bolus. She's also snagged heavy-hitting endorsements, including Governor Josh Shapiro and the DCC. Ultimately, Stelson is betting her massive war chest, household name recognition, and a middle-of-the-road anti-corruption platform are the ultimate formula to finally flip PA 10. This is the brief on the candidacy of
Okay. Okay. Corinne, thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank Corinne because I was actually supposed to be doing the videos, but for some reason my audio is not working. So Corinne stood in to be the technical master that she is, also being a DJ. All right. So thank you so much, Corinne. Billy Miller, do you want to just finish up real quick? Then we'll do the last video. Is that okay? Billy?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just think that the thing is, when you look at Pennsylvania, and especially when you look at statewide Pennsylvania, I look at Pennsylvania and I call it purple Pennsylvania. So I'm calling it purple Pennsylvania. And the reason why I call it purple Pennsylvania is because it's not blue, it's not red. So when you're trying to win a general election in Pennsylvania, I think it's important to find the issues that matter most to people. And when you're trying to win a general election, you don't lean on heavy partisan messages. You lean on the messages that are going to move the people. And I think that when you look at the candidates that have been most successful in the general elections in Pennsylvania as Democrats, they found more of a centrist message. Because when you look at Pennsylvania, you have to find that moderate sweet spot to be able to get just enough independents to be able to vote for you. Because you have to remember, in Pennsylvania, you have to be able to attract independents in the general election. So the key to winning Pennsylvania is you have to run 2 separate elections. Like the primary is a totally different race, and then your general, and you just try to keep your messages pretty close aligned and stay towards the middle as much as possible. That's my goal, and I just hope that as we continue to fight and that we can make sure that we start having more of our moderate messages as we get to these general elections, so we can be more successful and we can get these row offices back next time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Billy. I just put you on the spotlight late. I didn't want to use up all of the limited bandwidth that you had, but thank you so much.
That's okay. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time. Sorry for the connections. Blame it on the hotel, not myself. Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it. Okay,
right.
Good. All right, Corinne.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. We are going to get to our last and final candidate for this evening, Senator Sheri Street. And so on behalf of the statewide Democratic Black Caucus, we want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Everybody could have been anywhere this evening, this Friday evening, and we thank you for joining us for this really critical, important topic, which is the state of our democracy. And so we want to thank the only Black mayor of Bucks County, Mayor Wayne Codner, and Chairman Michael Laws. Thank you so much for putting this together, Chairman. And we will bid you adieu after this final video from Senator Sheri Street.
I'm running for Congress because I have put in the state senator to get things done for all people in my district, in the city, and in the Commonwealth, and that includes Black people. I'm running for Congress recognizing that when we created the Pennsylvania Healthcare Exchange, Pennsylvania's implementation of Obamacare, of the 486,000 people that are impacted, that disproportionately help Black folks, and the attacks on it will hurt Black folks. Those are people who drive for Uber and Lyft. Those are small businesses. So many people in our community. I'm running for Congress because we recognize that Black folks disproportionately died from gun violence, and we secured money, $300 million in structural funding for gun violence prevention. That $1.5 billion in the last 5 years that took Philadelphia's homicide rate from an all-time high to a 60-year low, working with our mayor and district attorney pushed out the money in the Pennsylvania Commission for Crime Prevention. Those lives were disproportionately Black because we were disproportionately impacted by gun violence that helped us. But I also understand that we have to make sure we support Black businesses, and that's why I have, as a state senator, hosted a supplier diversity conference each year that included folks at the federal, state, and local government to make sure that small and disadvantaged businesses, and especially Black businesses, could get resources. And as a congressman, I will continue to do that. I'll support 8A the 8A program and make sure it's expanded and fight back against Donald Trump's attacks on it, making sure that Black business people can do business with the government. I will fight for the Community Reinvestment Act and make sure that Black businesses have access to capital are not subject to redlining. I have done this as a state senator. I will in fact fight to make sure that Donald Trump doesn't continue. Well, he may continue to attack. We'll fight back against Donald Trump's continued attacks on Black voting rights, as I have stood up as a state senator and as a member of the state Senate. I sued Donald Trump when he tried to take away drop boxes, when he tried to take away early voting, when he tried to take away so many tools that were used, that Black folks used to vote. I fought for the inclusion of Black districts in the congressional redistricting process, and I will continue to fight as a member of Congress. And by the way, every time I took on Donald Trump in court, we beat him. I fought to preserve, as a state senator, and have restored the monument to the 10 enslaved Black individuals who were at the Constitution Center. And we won at working on litigation that our mayor and our council president led, but I supported and I was a part of and a party to. And we now we're fighting to preserve Black history, and I will fight to preserve Black history in our schools. I am a person who has a proven track record of delivering for Black folks. That includes public housing and affordable housing, the largest affordable housing development in Philadelphia, going on Philadelphia. I secured resources for that, and that's in a Black community. Black maternal health. We host a community baby shower where over 1,000 mothers come in who are disproportionately Black, making sure that we address the disparities between Black maternal health and other maternal health. We give out information and resources, and I have supported Representative Cephas, who's endorsed me on the omnibus bills, and making sure we address disparities in Black maternal health. I have consistently been there for all people, but certainly Black community. And I live at 16th and Lehigh in the heart of the Black community in North Philadelphia. And I will continue to fight for my brothers and sisters in the Black community. And as a member of Congress, I have a proven track record of delivering. Black folks need more than just speeches. Barack Obama called it the fierce urgency of now. That means we need things to happen right now that are effective. Michelle Obama said, just do something. I have done something as a member of the state Senate. Many things that have helped improve the quality of life for people in our communities, including securing money to renovate the Broad Island and Broad Erie train stations that people ride, and making sure that we build a new school that didn't have at TM Pierce that was free of lead and asbestos. And I will fight to make sure that the federal government secures money for so many of our schools that Black children go to. I am going to fight for our community. I've delivered for our community as a member of the state Senate, and I'll deliver as a member of Congress. We don't need slogans, and we don't need learning on the job. We need somebody with a proven track record of delivering. I've delivered as a state senator. Again, I'll deliver as a Congress. That's why on May 19th, I need your vote. If you early vote, I need it whenever you're going to vote. Thank you. This is Senator Sheri Street, and I'm running for Congress.
Okay. Okay. Hopefully you guys were able to hear that. You know, it was a little low, but we put it as high as we could. Okay. But Corinne and Mayor Wayne, host, take it from here. Close us out.
For myself, I'd like to say thank you. This is necessary. We need to hear from candidates. We need to, as Democrats, come together, like the question that was asked over and over again. So what I'd like to say is that don't let this be our last time communicating. Let's continue to talk, bring up points and issues, and keep reminding our elected officials that they work for us. As an elected official, I'm telling you that it's our responsibility to listen to the public. The lovely Corinne.
Yes, and on behalf of the third largest county here in the swing state of swing Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I thank everyone for being here. And thank you, Chairman Laws, for, again, for putting this together.
Sure. Okay. And I want to thank Mayor Codner in Richland Township, and he got elected. And how many folk are in your? What's the population of your town? And I think that they're only like, tell us the demographics breakdown, man.
Demographics of Richland Town Borough are 1,250 residents, give or take. We've had some births and we've had some passings, and it is 95% Caucasian. It is 2% other and 3% Black. It is a average educational level of high school graduation. Average household income is about $50,000. It is split 50-50 male to female. And as somebody who's been up when the town wakes up, it wakes up about 4:30 in the morning. It turns in right around 7 o'clock at night, and do not knock on doors when the Eagles are playing.
That's right. Do not knock on doors when the Eagles are playing. Okay, Corinne, any passing thoughts? Thank you so much, Corinne. I can't thank Corinne enough. You guys don't understand. I was all set, all organized. You guys can now hear the videos. I had to send this to Corinne, and then I had to upload some of the videos that I had locally on my phone to put it up on YouTube so she could play it. Great job, Corinne. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Corinne, anything else?
Corinne is a superstar.
Yes.
Tell 10 of your friends to tell 10 of their friends to vote May 19th. It's critical.
Yes.
All right, good. And also thank the Progressive Caucus for giving a presentation and determining and explaining exactly what the state committee is. Because most people don't have the faintest idea what it is. Thank you so much.
Excellent presentation, ladies. Thank you so much for being here.
And Dennis Brown, once again, thank you for your wonderful presentation and all the work that you did with all the creation of the videos. Okay, guys, thanks so much.
Good night.
Good night.